Nihon Falcom are one of my personal favourite video game developers, more famous as they are these days for their wonderful Ys franchise of action RPGs. Many hours of my life have been spent in the company of Adol Christin on his ever more expansive adventures. Oft touted as one of the pioneers of this particular style of RPG, what we have here is a port of the 1984 PC-88 game of the same name that started off the Dragon Slayer series. Many of these were Japanese exclusive, although Dragon Slayer 4 was released on the NES and was called Legacy of the Wizard, so there's a chance you'll have heard of it. The aim of the inaugural Dragon Slayer game, although you wouldn't know it, there aren't any story cutscenes in this version, is to collect these 4 crowns that are each guarded by a dragon. Along the way, you need to collect or upgrade your weapons to ward off ever stronger enemies. Sounding pretty standard so far? Incorrect. First off, the controls are the stiffest I think I've ever experienced. Your character moves as if in stop motion, pausing on every tile. And that's fine in a turn-based dungeon crawler, but Dragon Slayer is marketed as a real-time action RPG. The response when trying to move is ludicrously inaccurate, sometimes requiring 3 or 4 presses of the D-pad to move your knight where you want him to go. The button controls are equally maddening. You expect to be able to attack, but A is used to pick up whatever's on the ground, and B brings up an empty magic menu. No, you have to first find a weapon, but to do this, you need to navigate towards a warp point that is miles away. You have one utility slot that needs to be used for shields, jewels, and so on. Picking up a ring, for example, allows you to move blocks around. A cross can be used to block paths as enemies cannot cross them. Collecting a jewel in the maze and returning it to your home allows you to level up stats and such. Having to press A on every single coin you find in order to pick it up is another facet of the game that gets very old very quickly. If you manage to navigate this block-pushing maze, you can then accompany your tool with a sword, but only after traversing a void completely filled with aggressive skeletons and spiders. Don't come into contact with any of them because you're unarmed at this point and will be devoured. And you can't easily run from battle either. It's possible but not intuitive, and you'll lose health doing so. Plus, if you get cornered, you're basically finished. The fighting sequences seem to be calculated based on a dice roll, which is fine if there's only one enemy. More than that accosting you can lead to an unwinnable situation where you barely get to attack. Another thing I should mention about the enemies, kill one and another will respawn somewhere on the map, but it'll be of a higher level than the one you just slew. Seeing as how your leveling up doesn't come from killing the enemies, it's probably beneficial to just avoid them, which is a pretty lame way of being a hero. The accompanying music is a 20-second loop that is an absolute cacophony. It starts off as a decent enough RPG-sounding tune, which quickly blends into a complete mess of notes offensive to the ears, causing anyone with hearing to immediately mute the game. The worlds are empty and uninspiring, with all the sprites, from a single coin to the player to a whole house, being the exact same size. I know it was the 90s, but some form of realism could have been attempted, or at least make the sprites look half decent. A huge problem is the amount of grinding you'll have to do to get anywhere, and it's a slow grind, not just because of the ridiculous movement. Ever-diminishing experience returns and laborious backtracking ensures there'll never be a speedrun of this game. You can, peculiarly, push your home in the same way you can push a block, in order to move it nearer to a cache of jewels, but really it doesn't help that much. You can also run the risk of forgetting where you put it. It's not just the tedium that's the problem with this artificially inflated gameplay. Remember that the Game Boy is a portable console, powered by batteries, unlike the home computer it was originally on. And there's basically no way to complete the game on one set of batteries, even if you got the really good expensive ones. And this was 1990, way before the rechargeable power packs came out. Okay, fine. Final Fantasy or other RPGs around at the time were of a similar length, although much more compelling with it. But they had passwords or a save game mechanic, meaning you could turn the game off if you wanted a rest. Not here, oh no, you're playing this in real time. That's not immersion, and it's not practical. So unless you're playing this on emulator or a Super Game Boy, don't ever expect to see the ending. If you've just finished Link's Awakening and are looking for something in a similar vein, I implore you to please keep on looking. This ain't it.